Let's take you back live to the Johannesburg City Hall. My colleague Slindelo Masigani. Sli, I see you are with the Premier of Gauteng. He essentially today was the host for this memorial service.
Premier Panyaza Lusufi, thank you so much for your time. Just to give us a sense as to your takeaways from this memorial service, and of course a lot of urgency for leaders to learn from the kind of ethical leadership that Dr. Ginwala displayed.
I think we should not leave hope for building a truly non-racial South Africa, a truly democratic South Africa that can protect everyone. But most importantly, a reminder that our struggle for freedom was not only strong and loved by everyone, but it was led by people with impeccable credentials. And the message of tribute and support that we're giving here is an affirmation that Frene Ginwala was a special person, was a special leader. She paved the way for our freedom. She presided over that freedom, but most importantly, she loved our people.
You're also somebody who very much also advocates for non-racialism, and of course something that has come out is that the ANC seems to have digressed much from that.
Indeed. I agree with them. The Speaker of Parliament, that the current leadership that was elected does not reflect what we want in society. A leadership that is non-racial in character and a leadership that is committed to a truly non-racial South Africa. And I think something that as the African National Congress must review. There's an opportunity to co-opt people. There's also an opportunity to deploy people at various institutions of government. The character of the African National Congress at all times must be non-racialism, and the country must embrace non-racialism. We can't leave non-racialism out, and we can't do it by the way. It must be entrenched and must be part of our day-to-day lives.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for that.
All right, Masiko, I understand that Bradan has some more reaction for us inside.
That's correct, Sli. In fact, I understand that Bradan is with Nomvula Mokonyane, and Bradan, that would be very important, especially looking at the fact that Dr. Ginwala was the national convener of the Women's National Coalition that actually made sure that women contributed to the constitution that we have today. And you have a guest that at least made it to 3 out of the 7 females in the ANC's top structures.
Yes, indeed, Masiko. I've got Nomvula Mokonyane, the newly elected first Deputy Secretary General of the ANC, one of the 3 women in the top 7, the top leadership of the African National Congress. For the first time, we have 3 women, but some people say it's still not good enough. But I just want to get a reflection on what was said here today. Nomvula, good afternoon. Welcome to eNCA. Thank you for your time. One of the things for me that stood out is when Nosiviwe Mapisa-Nqakula said for her, Frene Ginwala represented a woman of integrity, both as a speaker and as a leader. What stood out for you?
Both that, but also that there is so much that is as yet to be told about Comrade Frene. Many people know her as Madam Speaker, and yet in her early years, she was an operative that was branded today as a travel agent who ran operations, underground operations, of taking people like Comrade Oliver Tambo out of the country. And I also think what stood out just on that was irrespective of her own socio-economic background, she took such a risk for this hard-won freedom, and a woman of Indian origin. And I really think going forward, our struggle for a non-racial South Africa, a non-sexist South Africa, must be waged in honor and memory of many others. But in this particular memorial service, we dare not fail Comrade Frene.
Yeah, because according to President Ramaphosa today, reminding us that she was committed to a united South Africa in all its diversity.
And what I'm taking out of this memorial service is how she could reach out to people beyond political affiliation, how she made the Women's Coalition to have an impact in the work of those that were negotiating. And today everybody celebrates the Constitution, celebrates Madiba, celebrates the President, and I hope everybody who was listening and who was watching understands that here lies a giant that made sure that issues of non-racialism, non-sexism, and equality were factored into the Constitution. But of importance, it's the Bill of Rights that is enshrined in our Constitution.
The diversity of the ANC leadership currently it really pales differently from when she was there. There's hardly an Indian ANC member in the ANC currently. As an example, what would you do as the Deputy Secretary General to change that?
I think we'll have to work harder. We'll have to work harder because it means we need to conscientize our members, we need to recruit, and we need to ensure that those that are now active in our branches, in our regions, in our provinces, understand what the ANC stands for. And those that are of Indian, colored or white origin, they themselves have to work like what Comrade Frene did. She was never co-opted, she was never singled out, she was seen through her hard work, and hence branches of the ANC, structures that deploy, could identify her capacity beyond just her color.
The other point that stood out for me was when President Ramaphosa described as a pioneer for women's rights, a pioneer for building the democratic South Africa from the ashes of apartheid, but that she was an honest leader, she was a courageous leader, and she was selfless. And sadly today, when we look at the leadership, we say we need more of those. I mean, they are not representative of that image. How do you react to that?
Actually, you didn't hear Sisbaleka that after Charlotte Maxeke, here lies a woman who stands equal to what Charlotte Maxeke stood for, defying against all odds within the movement, all those inhibitions that made women not to emerge. Secondly, somebody who was able to dig deeper and find information to empower the organization, to enrich our understanding, like her finding of the maps, the Africa maps, but also somebody who was very, very loyal and a dependable force. Today we had herself and Comrade Barbara, and unfortunately, Comrade Barbara, unfortunately Comrade Jesse is not here, who made Madiba to look good. And I'm happy that President Ramaphosa said it, because sometimes those who work behind the scenes are never actually recognized. That the man who was embraced by society, the man who led the ANC, had these three formidable women that Comrade President referred to them as the three musketeers. They never demanded a lot. All they wanted was to work and serve, and that remains a challenge. And what was also raised by her own nephews and also Comrade Barbara, that she could be a serious disciplinarian, but somebody who can also mold. And I think it is those challenges in the ANC, the issue of loyalty, the issue of discipline, that you don't just reject those that you do not agree with. What Comrade Nosifiwe said, that you'll disagree and walk away, but it will be her who will bring you back. So an ANC that is diverse and tolerant.
Okay, finally, before I let you go, I know you've got a meeting now to go to at Luthuli House, Nomvula. It's the issue of integrity. Many people look at the ANC today and say the ANC is lacking in integrity, or some of its leaders are lacking in its integrity. How do you think you should lead the organization going forward to instill that integrity?
It is the ANC itself that said we need renewal, we need self-correction, and sometimes we must deal with it without actually fear or favor. But we must also guard against just the branding of integrity to undermine other people and to cast aspersions. There must be a process that people are afforded to deal with issues as and when they are raised with them.
Nomvula Mokonyane, thank you very much. That's the first Deputy Secretary General of the ANC, Masiko. She's on her way now. We're going to have to let you go. She's on her way. She's got a meeting starting in a short while, 2 o'clock. Fortunately, Masiko, we are at the City Hall, and Luthuli House is just around the corner. It's a walking distance. Those were some of her reflections about what was said here today by various speakers, including the main speaker, the eulogy delivered in that keynote address by the President of the ANC and President of the Republic, Matamela Cyril Ramaphosa. Masiko?
All right, thank you, Bradan Moyane, live for us from the Johannesburg City Hall, where the memorial service for freedom stalwart Dr. Frene Ginwala has just concluded. That's it from myself.